Okay, let's just do a quick little review on factoring. So factoring just means to write that trinomial as a multiplication problem. So if we figure out, okay, what's going to multiply to -3, that could be 3 and -1. And then if I were going to check this, I could just distribute my x, so I'd get x squared plus 3x minus x and minus 3. Okay, let's try this next one. Let's see, so that's our answer. We need to come up with a multiplication problem that results in that answer. So first I notice everything's even. So if I were going to divide everything by 2, that's factoring out the common factor. Okay, so I'm going to factor out that 2, which means I'm dividing everything by 2. So I'd be left with 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. And now I just need to figure out what is binomial that works. So let's see, we need 2x and x. Those are the factors that multiply to the first one. We need the factors that multiply to the second one. Well, let's see, if I did 2x times x, that's 2x squared, and then 2x times a 3, that would be positive 6x. I'm just kind of in my head double checking. So I got 2x squared plus 6x, and then this one would need to be -1 to give us the factors of that last term. So that would be minus x, and then just double checking this, it works as well. So the middle stuff needs to add up to that positive 5, which it does, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay, so that's just a quick little review on factoring trinomials. The answer is this multiplication problem. Okay, let's do a few. There's also the special formulas for factoring cubes. Okay, so let's look at these. I'm noticing everything's even here, so factoring out my 2, that means what I'm really doing there is dividing both terms by that 2. So I'd get 8x cubed minus y cubed. Okay, so now if I look at that, okay, and if I see that 8x cubed, that's the same thing as taking 2x and cubing it. Okay, so in this problem, I'm going to have my a be 2x, and my b is y. And then I'm just going to go through and choose the correct formula to use. I'm going to use that one because we have subtraction in our binomial there. Okay, so here we go, copying down the 2. And now this, we need to write a minus b. Okay, so a in this problem is 2x minus b, and b in this problem is y. Okay, and now the next thing is we need to write a squared. A is 2x, so we take a squared, and then we take plus a times b, so 2x, and a little bit more room. Okay, 2x times b, and in our problem b is y, and then plus b squared, so it would be plus y squared. So I'm just copying every single part of that formula down. And now we'll just simplify it a little bit. So 2x minus y times 2, and now this would just be 4x squared plus 2x y plus y squared. And that is factored. Okay, let's look at this one. Oh, I did lots of evens here. Okay, I'm noticing they're both even, and also there's enough x's to go around for me to factor out an x. Okay, so what that means, if I'm factoring that out, is really, and usually I just do this in my head, but I'm dividing both of those terms by 2x. So let's see what we'd have left. We'd have x to the 4th minus 16. And now this is a perfect square. We have x squared plus 4, x squared minus 4, and you can just double check that in your head. X squared plus 4 x squared minus 4. Okay, so multiplying that out, x squared times x squared, that's x to the 4th. And then minus 4x squared and plus 4x squared and minus 16. The middle stuff adds up to 0, so we'd get x to the 4th minus 16. So I factored that correctly, but I'm not done. This is another perfect square. X squared plus 4, that one is done, that's prime because of the addition here, it won't factor anymore. But this next one is a difference of perfect squares, so that would factor as x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, wow, that one factored quite a bit. All right, and now factoring by grouping, those are the ones where you just separate this into little groups and then just ignore everything else and factor 2x cubed minus 4x. Well, both of them are even. There's enough x's for me to factor out an x squared. Okay, so what I'm left with is x minus 2. That's this one. Okay, and then this one, let's see, both of them I could divide by 6. I'm going to go ahead and actually factor out a negative 6. So I'd be left with x minus 2. And then we have 2x squared minus 6. We're going to factor out the x minus 2. Okay, and we're left with a 2x minus 6. So there's my 2x minus 6. There's my x minus 2, which I could factor from both. I'm so close. That first term, those are both even. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 2. And I've got x squared minus 3 times x minus 2. And that one now is done. Just a little note, we could factor if we wanted to x squared minus 3. That would factor. We could think of that as x plus square root of 2, x or square root of 3, x minus square root of 3. So that would factor if we were willing to use irrational numbers. Now, when we're trying to factor fractional exponents, what we're going to do is the process is really similar to what we've been doing. So if I was, for example, if I had something like this, 2x to the 5th plus 10x cubed. Both of those are even, right? So, and there's enough x's to go around that I can factor out a 2x cubed. So usually I just do this in my head, but what we're really doing here is dividing both things by the term that we're factoring out. And how did I know what to factor out? Well, we took the smallest exponent. That's how we know what to factor out. And then the least common multiple is the 2. Okay, so we're going to choose the smallest exponent. Okay, who's smallest of you all? Looks like negative 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to factor that out, which means I'm going to divide by x to the negative 1/2. Just like I divided over here by that x cubed, same thing, x to the negative 1/2, x to the negative 1/2, okay, and then out it comes, factoring it out. Sorry, I just squeezed that way over on the side, but okay, you get the idea. All right, so x to the negative 1/2, out that came. When we're dividing exponents, you can subtract, right? If I had x to the 8th divided by x cubed, that's x to the 5th. You subtract exponents there. It would be x. You take the top one minus the bottom one. That's how you do those. You subtract. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Top one, so x to the 3/2 minus the bottom one, which is negative 1/2. Okay, then that was 3x to the 1/2 minus the bottom, negative 1/2, plus 2x to the negative 1/2 minus the bottom, minus negative 1/2. Okay, now this I'm just going to simplify a little bit. I don't like that negative exponent, so I'm just going to write that positive down in the denominator. And now we have minus a negative is plus. So 3/2 plus 1/2. Okay, so here process, what ends up happening is you factor out the smallest exponent. That means you're going to divide everything by that. And so what ends up happening is because you're subtracting a negative, you get to add that power. To each. Okay, but you don't have to just memorize the process. If you understand why and what's going on, then you don't have to memorize anything. Okay, so let's see what we have here. 3x or 1/2 minus a negative is plus 2. Negative 1/2 minus a negative is plus. Okay, we're really close. X to the 1/2 times, this would be 3/2 plus a half, so that's 4/2. That simplifies to x squared. Minus 3, 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1, so x to the 1. To negative 1/2 plus 1/2 is 0. So this becomes x squared minus 3x plus 2 times 1. X to the 0 is just 1. And now I can take that x to the 1/2 that was out here and just multiply straight across. This is all over 1, so that would be in the denominator. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm just going to do one more of these before you start homework. Okay, I look to see who is the smallest of you all. Out you come. Okay, so that means I take what I originally had and add, because I'm dividing by that smallest term. When you're dividing by negative, you end up adding. So we just take what we originally had and add what we factored out. 1/2 plus 3/2. This I'm going to write with a positive exponent, so that x to the 3/2 goes into the denominator. And now I add exponents here. So that's x to the 0 plus 2x, that would be 2/2, so that's just 1, plus x, 1/2 plus 3/2 is 4/2, which simplifies to x squared. So this becomes 1 plus 2x plus x squared all over x to the 3/2.